Hello, I'm Ken Clark from creationoutreach.com. I would like to talk to you today about one of my articles, hitting some highlights. Perhaps you'll be interested in reading further at creationoutreach.com. Today my article is entitled President Woodrow Wilson's Words. And here's the quote: "The biggest men in America are afraid of something. These intrigue me. These do intrigue me. How is it possible that the most powerful men in America are afraid of something? How is that possible?" I'm going to look first at Psalm 2. It seems fantastic, but we live in such a scary world with financial, political, military crises everywhere we look. It's a scary world. What Psalm 2 says, and especially as very much confirmed by the words of Woodrow Wilson and J. Edgar Hoover also. It's very important we understand what is really going on. Psalm 2 says, "Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves. The rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, Let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us." Now this is absolutely fantastic. I will read the rest of the psalm in a few minutes, but what it is saying is the kings of the earth and their rulers. Now, how is it possible the kings of the earth are not the rulers? The reason is because they have spirit handlers that are calling the shots. And that's what is being said here. The kings of the earth set themselves. That means they prepare for battle. And the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed. His anointed is Jesus Christ. And they are saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. In other words, they are going to overthrow God's rule. Now that seems absolutely preposterous until we look at the words of Woodrow Wilson and J. Edgar Hoover. Woodrow Wilson, U.S. President Woodrow Wilson said, "Since I entered politics, I have chiefly had men's views confided to me privately. Some of the biggest men in the U.S. in the field of commerce and manufacturing are afraid of something." How can that be? Well, he explains. They know that there is a power somewhere. Get that? A power somewhere so organized, so subtle, so watchful, so interlocked, so complete, so pervasive. Let me read that again. Some of the biggest men in the U.S. in the field of commerce and manufacturing are afraid of something. They know that there is a power somewhere so organized, so subtle, so watchful, so interlocked, so complete, so pervasive, that they had better not speak above their breath when they speak in condemnation of it. I don't believe for a second that Woodrow Wilson was just throwing words around. He was not exaggerating at all. Psalm 2, as I said, seems unbelievable that the demonic powers and the the kings of the earth are joining up together to overthrow God. That seems unbelievable. Before I go on to what J. Edgar Hoover's words, I want to make this point. I'm not a sports fan, but everybody realizes when a sports team takes on a easy opponent and wins, that's no big deal. But when they take on a really tough opponent and win, that is a big deal. Likewise, God allows himself the most powerful opponent that there is in the person of the devil or Satan. This powerful opponent allows God to demonstrate his mighty power. Now, getting to the words of J. Edgar Hoover, he was FBI director for half a century. That's really something. Half a century J. Edgar Hoover was FBI director. I understand he was a real rascal, but nevertheless, he certainly must have known what's going on. FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover said, the individual is handicapped by coming face to face with a conspiracy so monstrous he cannot believe it exists. Think to Psalm 2 as I read it to you. The kings of the earth are setting themselves for battle, and their demonic rulers are taking counsel together with them in order to overthrow, to cast away God's rule over them. There indeed is a conspiracy so monstrous. How could anyone believe that? As J. Edgar Hoover says, the individual is handicapped by coming face to face with a conspiracy so monstrous he cannot believe it exists. I want to say that the constant drumbeat from the media is that it's one political party versus the other. See, it's just the political parties squabbling, conservatives versus liberals, and that these are just normal business economic cycles. That is not true, my friends. Psalm 2, and as pointed to by Wilson and Hoover, what is really going on is this knockdown dragout between demonic forces and the kings of the earth and God. And everything else that's going on is a subset. All that's going on is simply the skirmishes involved in that monstrous war. Now, I want to point out that the Bible does go on in many places, such as such as the book of Ephesians in the New Testament. Chapter 6 says, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. So St. Paul, in his letter to the Ephesians, very, very plainly indicates our battle is against the very powerful spirit forces that are against us. Yes, of course, they have their human helpers that we are directly confronted with, but we must understand that the real battle is against these powerful forces. Now, what can we do about it? I want to say only Jesus Christ can defeat, and in fact, Jesus Christ already has defeated these forces, but he's allowing them to play out their ball game, even though they ultimately will lose. Going back to Psalm 2 then, he that sits in the heavens shall laugh. That means God's starting to laugh. The Lord shall have them in derision. So God is laughing at them. But that turns to anger, and then he speaks unto them in his wrath, and vexes them in his sore displeasure. Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. I will declare the decree. The Lord hath said unto me, Thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee. He's speaking of Jesus Christ, his son. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. The heathen are Gentiles, which most of us are, and of course Christianity very much embraces large sections of the Gentile world as opposed to the Jewish world. There are certainly Jewish believers in Jesus Christ. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings. Be instructed, ye judges of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling. So he advises the kings of the earth they better get in line. In fact, he goes on to say in the last verse of Psalm 2, kiss the Son, lest he be angry, and ye perish from the way when his wrath is kindled but a little. So he's saying, boy, you kings of the earth, you better kiss and make up with my Son, Jesus Christ. And the very last phrase is very, very comforting to us. Blessed are all they that put their trust in him. So I appreciate you listening to me. I invite you to go to my site, creationoutreach.com. I have several articles where you can get a much better idea of what it means to put your trust in Christ, because that's the only way. Everything else is going to end up in a very, very bad place. That's why God said, you kings of the earth, you better kiss and make up with my Son right away. Thank you for listening to me. I hope you have a great day, and I hope you can visit me at creationoutreach.com. If you want to email me, I'm Ken at creationoutreach.com. Thank you very much.